Welcome to Table for One. I'm the narrator, and today's video is an Etsy showcase for Sky Team. I'm going to show you some awesome upgrades from Etsy for your copy of Sky Team, and if you already have these upgrades, I'll go into detail on how to assemble it as well. So make sure your tray tables and seat backs are in the upright and locked position, and let's get rolling. All right, so I'm going to talk about Etsy upgrades for Sky Team, and I'm going to try and keep this video brief but information dense. So don't forget, if you're looking for something specific, I do have chapter markers. This video is going to be divided up by component types. You could just jump to the piece that you're looking for if that's something you want to do. And so just full disclosure, again, I co-own an Etsy store with a couple of friends. It's called Brain Bucket Games. You can find it at brainbucketgames.etsy.com. There's a link in the description, and we just released a Sky Team kit, and you can pick that kit up at a 10% discount if you use the code that is on your screen right now. And that code will be valid through the end of 2024. So if you want to include this Sky Team kit as a gift for somebody that you're getting Sky Team for the holidays, or maybe if you receive it yourself, you'll have a little time after the holidays to pick up an upgrade kit if that's something you want to do. In this video, I'm just really going to go over each component one at a time that we've got an upgrade for. I'm going to, for each component, explain why we have the upgrade and then show you how to install it in case you are considering purchasing it, or if you've already purchased it, this will help you get it all put together more easily. So let's get started. All right, so this is the main board for Sky Team, and one of the biggest issues that we had is it comes with all of these cardboard slider switches or buttons that you place into these slots, and through the course of the game you slide them, and there's a little light indicator beneath it to show which ones you've turned on and which ones you've turned off. But the problem is when you put the game away, these all fall out. And they're a little bit susceptible. It's generally not an issue, but susceptible to table bump where you might, knock this and it's like, oh, did we activate that switch or not? We don't really remember. Or, hopefully you don't just pop them all the way out. But these are kind of a pain, and they're just little cardboard pieces that are fine. But, every time you want to set the game up, you got to dig through the box and get all these pieces. And they're just kind of small and just a little bit fiddly to set up. So you can see all the other 9 switches on here are these 3D printed replacements that we are selling as part of our kit. So let me put these side by side here. Here's the cardboard. Here is the replacement piece. So you can see we've maintained the general aesthetic because it does look pretty good, but we've improved the functionality and just how it feels. So a couple things I want to point out on this switch here, the 9 little dots are slightly raised, so you can feel it when you put your finger on it. It's like, it's just got a little texture to it. And so it's kind of nice when you slide it. It's just, I don't know, it adds something to the tactile experience over the flat cardboard. The other thing it's got, I don't know if you can quite see on the video because they're very tiny, but on 2 sides there are little fins or tabs. That's the word I always forget, little tabs. So just on 2 sides. These little tabs, if I flip it over, you can see it's maybe more of a rectangle going this way than this way, even though the button itself is a square. So there's little tabs on the bottom. That's what's going to hold this in place. So our piece, once it's installed, stays in place. And that way, when you put the game away, everything will just be ready to go. It's that much easier to get the game to the table and start playing. Another thing that's nice is when you move the switches, just move some of them, you can shake it around and do whatever you want. And the switches are going to stay right where you left them. So there's no confusion, no worry about table bump. They're not like hard to move, but they stay in place really nice. So that's definitely a benefit. So there's 10 of these switches in the kit for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spots on the main board. And I'll next show you how to install it. It's fairly simple. So to install these switches, these 2 little flaps are the key. You're going to, I can go this way, take one of the flaps and slide it in and beneath the cardboard. So you can't install it horizontally. It just won't do anything. If you put it in horizontally, it'll be basically have the same problem as the originals, where it's got the nice tactile feel, but it's not going to stay in place. It'll move around on you and it'll fall out. So don't worry about installing it wrong. You'll know it's wrong because all the pieces will just fall back out like the original. But if you put the flaps vertically, you just slide the piece in, and then you just press down firmly on the top half that's poking up. So more of a righty. I should have done the other side, but you can see there's a little bit of an angle to it. I'm just going to press down here and you'll hear very much the audible snap into place. There you go. And now it's installed. So you just do that 10 times. You've got all your switches. They're going to stay right there. You won't have any issues. And you can see right away, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. So those are the main board switches. There are 10 of them. Super easy to install. I like the satisfying snap when you pop it in. So the second piece I want to talk about is this level indicator, which we also call a roll indicator because that's kind of your roll, right? I'm not an aviation expert, but I'm pretty sure this way and this way are rolls. Just basing that off of my experience playing Star Fox and doing a barrel roll. So this piece is nice. It functions pretty good during the game. We really don't have any issues with it. It's like a little loose. You can maybe bump it, but it basically stays where it's supposed to. It's not a big deal during the game, but it's the same idea of just, when you put it away, it's one more thing that can fall out. And it'd be nice if it was a permanent mount and it was just one less piece to have to put together because, especially for a quick game like this, the best thing you can do is have it table quickly with no fiddliness and just be ready to play. That's your best chance of getting it played more, right? So we're going to replace this indicator here with this one here. And we're really pleased with this one. Again, we tried our best to maintain the aesthetic because it does look really nice. So we've got that same, rear view of the airplane, and then the arrow indicator in white. And then the rest of this ring here is gray so that it tries to blend into this gray a little bit better. It looks a little bit more seamless. And then much like these switches, when you set this dial, it's going to stay in place much better than this indicator. You could move the board around a little bit and it'll be okay. So not that this was nearly as susceptible to table bumping as the switches, but we're going to have the same benefit here. And then so this one has little tabs as well. I don't know why I moved it to the left. Let's put it in the center here. So there are 2 tabs here and 1 tab here. So there's 3 of them equally spread out. 1 on the very bottom opposite of the arrow and 2 in the at 2 and 10, like on a steering wheel. Now, can't quite see it in this video, but the tabs are only on the bottom. So the side with the tabs should be flat on the table or flat against this when you're doing the install. It's not going to work if you go upside down with the tabs on the top. So I'll show you how to install this now. Get rid of the old piece. And to install this, harken back to the installation of the game itself. When you put this board together, if you remember, you fold it over and there's some adhesive pieces. So this is a dual layer cardboard, but you assemble it yourself. So at the top here, this opens up a little bit. And so you can actually take this, if you're gentle, do this gently. You can open it and slide this in and then pull it down. And it'll just end up right in place. It's very nice. And if there is a possibility that when you install it at first, particularly, so that's the way I'd recommend installing it. You could take the tabs, you could kind of lift this up and put these 2 tabs under and then pop this 3rd tab in, a little bit similar to how we did these buttons. If you do that, it may be pretty stiff. If it feels like really stiff and really difficult to turn it like a full circle around. It might take a couple rotations, but then it'll get into its correct spot, and then it should be relatively easy to move around. But again, I can put this on this second arrow here, move it, bump it, and it stays in place really well. But it's not like I can move it one-handed, so it's not really difficult to move. So that is the level indicator and how to install it. So let's move on to another piece. Okay, so this is the kerosene gauge, and it has a indicator which is very similar to these buttons or switches here. And this is a cardboard piece. It's 2-sided, and it sits in this track, and you use it in a couple different scenarios. It's like an add-on module, and you'll notice the add-on modules have these yellow stripes on them that line up with yellow stripes on this main board. That tell you where it's, I guess, supposed to go. I don't know that it is super important that you necessarily put it there, but that's those yellow lines are for. So you'll see that in some other components. We've tried to maintain that. But this button, similar to these buttons, it can slide around on you, which can be a little bit of an issue. This one is, at least on my copy, a little bit more susceptible to table bump than even these. This is probably the worst piece for table bump. So we've replaced this with a switch that's got the same pattern on it. Again, the black pattern on here, the 3 lines on the arrow are slightly raised. So you get this, you probably can't see it black on black there, but this nice tactile feeling when you move it up and down. Especially with these 3 lines here, you're going perpendicular to that that when you're sliding it up and down. So you just get, I don't know, a nice tactile feel with it. It's different than the cardboard. And so this uses the same principle as these buttons, except on this one, the tabs are on the left and right side instead of being on the top and bottom. They go the other way because the cardboard goes this way. There's two ways to install this. Again, this is a piece that was folded over when you receive the game. You fold it over with some adhesive. If you happen to have the kit at the same time, you can just put this piece in there before you fold it over, and then it'll just be in place. You won't have to install it at all. But depending on how brave you're feeling, if you're gentle, you can pry this apart a little bit and slip the piece in. And as long as you're gentle, that's just fine. And then it'll go right back down and you don't have to do anything else. But if that makes you squeamish at all, you also can install it the same way as these buttons, where just place one half under, slide it under, and the other half will be on top. Let's see if you can see this. And again, this will pop, and it'll be a pretty satisfying sound when you pop it in. I'm just going to press on the opposite side now. There we go. And now it's installed, and this will hold its place much better, and it's just got a nice tactile feeling, and then all your pieces match as well. So in our kit, we do include one of these kerosene level indicators. So that is the third piece. Let's move on to another. So another module that is added here, and using the yellow stripe, it goes here, is this wind indicator. And so when you have this in play, the wind is coming from different directions, and you're trying to move the airplane about to account for the wind. And so these two cardboard pieces come with the game. They're black on the back, and this just sits in here, and it just sits on the table. So it's, I don't know, just a little bit unsatisfying that these two pieces are not actually connected. They're just two separate cardboard pieces that kind of move around, and most of the time it's not a problem, but it's potentially an issue. And we also thought this was a really just good opportunity for a nice premium upgrade. So we have two pieces for this wind indicator. The first is just a new indicator piece. This is a 3D printed commercial airliner. It's really nice. I like the details of the jet engines down there. The tail is really nice. So we're very happy with just how this plane turned out. Again, this one has 3 tabs, the same place as these level indicator tabs to hold it in place, but still the same issue of being two separate pieces that come apart, and you've either got to find both pieces, you've just got the opportunity to lose a piece, and then again it's just sitting disconnected on the table, which we didn't find very satisfying. So we also have another piece to this kit, and it's this backer plate, which we think looks really nice. The clouds have some shadows on them, so we've got a couple levels of detail in there that are just really nice. There's a yellow stripe on this backer plate that lines up with this yellow stripe, so you know where to put it. But it's going to basically hold all 3 of these pieces together, so that it's just one piece. And on the back, it's just flat and smooth gray. So let me show you how to assemble this. First, you want to take this plane and put it in this circle. The little tabs don't go under anything. They're just going to sit on top. As long as the plane is somewhere, in this vicinity, then you've got it in the right place. And then you're going to use this cardboard indicator, and you're going to press it into this piece. Now, the key to this is just to go slow and gentle. So it doesn't really matter which corner you start with or end with. I'm going to start with this corner here. I'm going to press on the more circular side, but really it doesn't matter. So this whole thing has like a slight ridge around it. So we're going to push this cardboard under the ridge the whole way around, and that'll hold it all locked into place. So I'm going to push in this bottom piece here and kind of work down the left side. And we're just going to keep the airplane in the center and very gently work your way around. Take your time because you don't want to damage the cardboard. So there's not going to be a pop or anything on this one. Just work your way around, pressing it in, being careful not to get the cardboard caught on anything. And if you're slow and you take your time, everything will be just fine. And now this airplane sits in here. It won't fall out. It's one solid piece. You can spin it, figure out which way the wind is going, and you're all set, and it just looks really nice. You can enjoy the views of those those cumulonimbus clouds from above with this 3D airplane. Very satisfying. We're much happier with this than with the original piece. So that's the wind indicator, and then I've got one more piece that I want to show you. All right, and so these are the ice brakes module. This is the ice brakes module. It's again dual layer cardboard that you've put together yourself. When you receive the game, there's a couple pieces of adhesive, so you fold it over. And so I do want to point out right now the when you fold this thing, kind of goes a long way. The two pieces that come together are on the right side here. So if you look at it, you can see. I'll try and hold it in the middle so you can see this side is pretty flat. That's where the fold was. It folded over this way, over the top, and this right side is where the adhesive is holding it together. So this side is maybe a little bit more susceptible to pulling apart. So we're going to keep that in mind. But when you play the game, there's yellow stripes on either side here. These pieces go with these yellow stripes here. They cover up your standard brakes, and it just sits here in the middle of the board. And this piece was surprisingly susceptible to table bumping, and that compounded the issue with the other buttons when you're using all the standard cardboard. So this piece just kind of sits on the middle and it can slide around, and you're placing dice on it from both sides of the table because this is blue and orange down here. So both players are placing dice here, and there's a little bit of ability to push this piece around and it slides, and it could also potentially slide and knock some of these buttons here, the cardboard ones especially, not so much these because they hold their place pretty well, but this just slid around. It could bump stuff. We didn't love it. So we wanted to make something that would hold this in place, and so our kit includes for this a backer piece, not totally unlike the wind indicator. So here it is here. You'll notice the yellow stripes on it. We've maintained those so you know where to put it. But this has two pieces that lock it in place. First, this is assuming you've got these buttons installed. If you don't, if you for whatever reason just want to use this with the cardboard buttons, it'll still work fine. But if you've got these buttons are a little bit taller than the cardboard ones. You might notice they have a little bit of height on them compared to the board. So you put them all in this off position. You cover up all these lights on the standard brakes and take these three pieces and just slide them over. There you go. And then press it down. And again, if you don't have the cardboard pieces, you can just lay this down here and it should still work pretty well, because on the back side, we've got these two bumps. These are like positive locks. You can see they stick out a little bit from the back, and they line up with this standard brake track here. And so they go down into that track and also hold it into place. So between these three buttons and then the two locks on the back there, this slides on, this isn't going anywhere. Like I can, I'm going to move the whole board before I move this piece. So it's not going to slide or knock anything around. It holds everything in place really solid. But at the same time, it's like super easy to just lift away. So it's going to hold in the direction where you might be placing dice and knocking it, or if you table bump it. But in the upward direction, it's super easy to take back off. So that's really nice. So we just want to permanent mount the original ice brake module into this backer plate. So let me show you how to do that next. Again, this is where it's important. I said that this right side is more likely to tear away or lift away. So there's these walls here have a little bit of a lip to them that'll hold this piece in place. And when we're pressing this in, we don't want to necessarily press down from the right side, because it's just, you're probably going to be fine, but it's going to raise the opportunity to catch between these cardboard pieces and pull them apart and damage the face of it. So we're going to take this right side and slide it in into place here, like so. And just like the wind indicator, we're going to carefully press down on this piece to get it into place. So when you do that, you can sort of take the whole plate and you can bend it a little bit gently, bend the top back so that you're not just pressing super hard against it. You just want to sort of flex the top part back and gently press this cardboard into place. So take your time. You don't want to dab into cardboard, and just slide it in. You don't want it to catch. Little consistent pressure all the way around, and that's in there just fine, and it's not going to go anywhere. So now I can again place this here, and it's nice and solid. Just holds your piece in place, still super easy to take out. Like, it's not gonna fall back out. You consider that a permanent mount. So that is the Ice Breaks backer plate. So let me put it all together and bring it home. All right, so here's a final look at the Brain Bucket Games upgrade kit for Sky Team. We've got the 10 buttons on the main board. Don't forget 3 of them are under here. We've got the indicator piece for the kerosene gauge, the wind indicator, which has the backing plate, which includes that nice cloud background, as well as the 3D printed uh, airplane from the top-down view. And then we have the backer plate for the ice brakes, which holds everything in place nice and tight, especially with these positive locks on the back and negative space around the buttons. And then don't forget that all these plates, we've maintained that yellow stripe that's going to line up with the other yellow components, both on the main board and on the module pieces, so that everything is consistent. So that is a showcase of the Brain Bucket Games upgrades for Sky Team. And I'm here to tell you there are other Etsy kits out there for Sky Team, but I really truly believe ours are the premium kit. You're not going to find one that I think you're going to be happier with than with ours. We put a ton of time and work and testing into each piece that we make, and we don't do it if it's not a piece that we don't use ourselves. So this is stuff we really believe in, we love it, and we think you'll love it too. And once again, here's that code on your screen. It'll give you 10% off the Sky Team kit through the end of 2024. So if that's something you'd like to grab, go to brainbucketgames.etsy.com, link in the description. And just as reference, that link is in the description of every one of my videos, which includes the other video I released at the same time as this one, which is a solo playthrough of Sky Team using some of these components. And yes, I said solo playthrough of Sky Team, even though it's typically a 2-player game. There's a fan-made variant for solo play, and it is really good. So you can check that out as well. I'll put a link at the end of this video. But if you like what you've seen here today, please consider subscribing to Table for One. You can always leave a like on the video, share it with somebody else who you think might like it. Maybe if this is a gift you would like, you can share it with somebody else as a hint. And if you have any questions or comments about these upgrades, this upgrade kit, just leave a comment and I'll be happy to talk to you about it there. You can always, of course, message us on Etsy as well. But that is it for this episode of Table for One. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Go watch my solo playthrough of Sky Team. I think you'll enjoy that too. It's really good. But I will see you in the next video.